let's go get some action in. It's going to be a battle.
So let's start to get some of the injury stuff out there. Johnny looked like he was at least working when we were out there.
Yep.
What's his status?
We're not going to rule him out. We're going to take him into Sunday and doing that. So as we're working through the D tackle, it was good to get him some team reps today and feel into that. So haven't ruled him out, but we're still going to work in on Sunday as well.
And Brandon with that?
They did great last weekend, this week.
Okay. And then for you, you brought up just what it means. What does it mean to you after being out as a head coach, spending the time in Dallas, and then now being back in there? Is it a different feeling? What's that like?
Yeah, I would say it's different because some of the experience you have on the first lap of things you may not know. And you guys good with that? No, you weren't even listening. That's good. I'm just messing with you. That's why I was waiting. I definitely don't take it for granted, John. And the reason being is, like, there's only 32, man, and it's really cool. And so the time in Dallas was really good for me, in terms of, recapturing the things I wanted to do, did some different things. It was great to see, Mike and his way, and Jerry and Steven and Will and all those guys. So having those experiences, you just kept things in your pocket to say, if that moment happens, if it does. And so when it did, this was one that just was like no-brainer. And so, yeah, man, I'm really pumped and, not taking it for granted at all.
I forgot to ask about Marcus Mariota, too.
Yes. So I would say he strained a pec, his chest, and so I would say right now he is unlikely.
Would you feel comfortable just dressing two quarterbacks Sunday, or would?
Yeah, Adam and I still have some stuff to work through, but we would be. Yep.
And just what challenges do guys like Evans and Godwin present?
A lot, man. These guys are really good players. I feel like I've coached against them so many times, and from Atlanta and through Dallas and here, and man, I just love the way they play, their style, their attitude. Mike's long and can get on top of people, and he's done it just for about every year he's played, and absolutely crushed it. Chris is strong, where he's in the slot, carries it some on sweeps, and he is one tough dude. So, like, those two do present a problem. They have length, and so you'll need length to battle against that on some of the contested catches. And yeah, definitely as playmakers go, they're a big part of what they do, and a lot we've talked about this week.
Good afternoon, Coach.
Good afternoon.
Liam Cohen, the Buccaneers offensive coordinator, says that they're using motion, some sort of motion shift, whatever it is, on nearly every play.
Yep.
Obviously, there's a point to that. So as a defensive coach, like, how do you go about planning to counter? Because obviously he wants to find out as much as he can using all that.
Yeah, there's different kinds of motion. There's fast motion, and then there's slow motion. So sometimes a slow motion would be an indicator, all right, is this a man-to-man, or is this a zone, where sometimes you travel on mans and you don't on zone. So that's like pre-snap ones to indicate where it is. A lot of the ones that are really fast across the ball, one this way, can be difficult, gap fits, where do you go, and some of the run game to go. So they have both, that they work through. Our offense does too. And so it's becoming more common, the speed motions, the different speeds of it. And so how do you combat it? Different ways on defense. You play some calls that look like man, play zone, vice versa. You even have some calls that you can just align and play in a field where you don't have to chase a motion. So there's definitely some gamesmanship back and forth. But it's a good system, that they have, and tests you for your leverage especially.
And then with Brandon Coleman coming back from that injury, obviously we see very little this week of your guys' preparation. But is there, I guess, like a realistic probability that both Cornelius, Lucas, and Brandon get reps on Sunday?
Yes, very realistic, and we're planning on that. But Brandon's really done a remarkable job coming back, and I would say he was close to being ready, for the third preseason game, and we made the decision, hey, this is not the space and the time to go push it into this spot. And so knowing we had time to come, but he's absolutely ready to let it rip.
How'd you land on those three guys to be your week one game captains?
You know what? That's a good one, Sam. I thought they really represented, the standard, that the team created on their own. And so I spoke about each of them. I think Jeremy, he brings a lot to everybody in our building, and just the way his energy, his support of that. I thought for Cleveland, the word came to mind, like, this guy is a warrior, and like everybody knows what the tape's going to look like when he is out there. It's tough. It's all out. You guys have seen that. And then with Terry, I thought this is a hungry guy, as a real pro, and we can't wait to see him do his thing. So I think just three of them really represented, who we are, how we get down, and so that's why I selected those for the first game.
Is there anything specific that you can share that you'll do between now and, kickoff on Sunday that's different than when you were in Atlanta? Or what is something that you'll do that you think maybe puts you in that position?
I think, going through all the contingency planning that you do leading up into today. And so I would say you're probably, because of all the planning going in, I would say, I don't say more relaxed isn't the right word, Sam, but you're just really focused on, the parts of the game that you can impact. And so all week making sure we got the right looks, the right stuff. So that's why I also like coaching the scout teams at practice, where I can demonstrate the looks to the offense and to the defense. And so it's a way for me to get connected with the scout team guys, but ensure the exact looks, Tampa's going to get. We want, really clear illustrations of those. So I wouldn't say it's different, Sam, but I would say it has allowed me to keep my focus right where it's supposed to be, and not thinking about the defensive calls and this and that. Just like these are the ways that I can affect the game and give great support to the 48.
I don't know how much you watched of last night's game, but the emphasis on the illegal formations with the line, do you talk to your team about that? Like, have you guys spent more time looking at that? We
did. We on Fridays is a big game management and clock management day in the meeting, so we showed some of that today. And so the crew that called the game last night was the crew, if you guys remember, practice from last Friday and our last preseason game against New England. That was the crew that was here. And so each one may have a little bit, stronger in one area or another. But yes, it was something that we have, and then we also illustrated that again today. And so after the warning for one, it's for everybody. And so if they come over and tell the line coach, hey, so-and-so needs to move up, that's not just for him. That's, for everybody involved. And it certainly looked close. And as you're going, there was some fun. We watched that, the last play of the game. There's a lot of really good teaching moments. So, yeah, we used today to illustrate some of those.
And it looked like Bobby was working with some of the linemen early today on just some of those pre-snap penalties. Is that group at the point where you feel comfortable with where they're at?
I do,
Okay.
yeah. And I know it's a question because, there was some moving parts to go. And I think, quite honestly, as a coach, yeah, you'd love everybody to get all the reps together, but it's just, not usually how it is in training camp. There's a nick here where you get that. And so the fact that we've been together through the walkthroughs, through the stuff, that's a big deal. And so knowing the pre-snap stuff's a big portion of that, pre and post-snap, like that's what I would call the discipline penalties. That's the stuff that you can't have. Is there going to be a hold or that? You don't like it, but that's where it comes to. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, on one of the plays that had the illegal formation of not enough men on the line, I think there was a PI, which got, nullified. So we showed those to the guys today and just consequences, of pre-snap. And it would have changed, the outlook of that drive. And so all of them matter, the plays. And so we just keep going back to that.
Will Brandon Coleman start?
He will play. Yep, for sure.
Have you always worked with the practice squad that closely in that?
Not always. When calling the defense, I didn't, because you're kind of going back and forth, John. But I have done it before, but I was pretty intentional about it. I knew that what I want to do to make sure that's another way that, like, I can help support to make sure it's exactly right. You'd be surprised how good the cards are when the head coach is running the cards. And whose card is this? And so there's two sides of the card there that works.
Now the league has games on Thursday, Friday, Sunday, Monday. Like, how much of those are you watching?
Not many. Okay. But what we do is, like, important points that come up in all the games, we kind of collect those and then put them as part of our presentations during the week. So, for instance, all the games that'll be going on this Sunday, like, we won't see any of them. So part of those, that's Dave's, role that he comes in and, hey, this came up in the, game with Philly and Green Bay. This one came up here, and then we kind of consolidate some teaching moments, and then that's how we train the guys. But after looking at every game every week, you kind of build this library of stuff. And so the emphasis today clearly had some things from Baltimore. It had some stuff from last year. It had a play from preseason this year, about some officiating. So it's just technical and, things that we want to emphasize every week.
Coach, with the captains, I know in your past, like in Atlanta, you had like a full set of permanent captains.
We did not.
I thought you had a couple years. I know there's one year you had like 5, and every week you had a specific captain that you guys.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to go back and look at my notes.
Can you talk about
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I think I first learned it, and I would assume it came from Bill Walsh from San Francisco and some game captains of people to come in. And so I thought, what a great way to recognize some people for the work that they put in. We've got a whole group of leaders, and in the postseason, we will say these are the captains. Maybe that might be what you're referring to when it gets to that space, and then they stay for the postseason. But it does give some opportunity to shine on some people that may not have the traditional role, but are ready to hit it. And so it gives some recognition and gives some leadership into that spot. And so that's why I thought the guys this week were in such a good space. And guys, like I said, I'd take them three anywhere to go fight.
Do you think that helps build some of that? Like if they feel like there's an opportunity reward for that, do you find more guys maybe exerting some of those leadership skills because of that?
I think we don't try to push if you don't have it, but not everybody leads in the same way, John. So there could be some guys like that are in the weight room that, man, like if you want to go train, this is who you go with. In the meeting rooms, somebody's more engaging than others. Hey, coach, run that back. We got to see this again. And then there's out on the field or in the locker room. So like the different voices of how you do it. And so I think I probably had told you earlier, I thought like early on leadership I thought was about me and how you lead. And then what I since found is that it's really about pulling out the leaders and others. But a moment like that, and they would call up to the team, you could tell who's nervous about that or, you know, yeah, I want to talk to the team. And so those are, you know, some of the things that we discuss.
We haven't asked a whole lot about Driscoll, but
Yeah.
you know, should he need to be the number 2 this week? You know, what have you kind of seen from him?
Yeah, so I thought Jeff coming out of the spring had some specific things that he wanted to work on over the summer. And when he came back, I thought, really, Nikki, he was really accurate. And so Jeff's always been somebody that's like a really good athlete, uses his legs to get outside. And so a lot more like Marcus in the same space where if either of them were featured, you would almost see some of the same calls for both of them. But, yeah, Jeff's been really somebody that absolutely put the work in over the summer. You could tell this, and you could see how this could happen. I've been in this system, it was called this here, and this way we're calling it here. Like Jeff's seen that play the same things, but John called it this way, you called it this way, Sam called it differently. And so I think in the spring there was probably a little bit of that to now I got it. And he could really let it rip. So those are the things that I've been impressed by Jeff. But I've known him for a long time. I know the competitor. And so, but it's his legs, you know, and athletic ability that kind of sets him apart when he can get out, you know, on the move and get on the corner.
So the accuracy, the improvement was more just from being more comfortable in the system.
I think that's probably true. Maybe there might be a little bit of both, John, but I think anytime you have confidence, like, all right, I know this one inside out, I know the exact location, where the spacing is supposed to be, and so it may be different on a disguise or that, but by and large, I just felt it really take off, and he had some really big throws and big moments. I thought in the preseason it was cool to see him perform, different guys, different spaces, so yeah, and it was a reason why, you know, we kept 3 into that space, and Jeff earned that. All right, guys, I will see you in Florida. All right. Yeah. All right, you guys have a good one, okay?